Hello dear students, I am going to start a lesson, metals and non-metals. Before going into the lesson, let me say something about metals. Metals as well as non-metals, both are elements. And these elements are found extensively on the surface of earth, below the earth crust. But first, when the earth was formed, it was a burning fire, that is a gas ball, where everything, maybe it is metal or non-metal, everything was in gaseous state. Later on, as the earth cooled down, certain elements, they remained in the gaseous form, certain other elements, they became hard, they became solid. Depending on their mass, that is, depending on their weight, the lighter elements, they remain above the earth's surface in the form of atmosphere. And this atmosphere is fully made up of gases like carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, chlorine, bromine, all the rare gases. But on the earth's surface, what we call as crust, that is mostly made up of the non-metals which are solid. So remember, both the atmosphere and the crust of the earth contains the non-metals either in the form of gases in the atmosphere or solid non-metals in the crust. But the metals are the heaviest. And as I told, earth was cooling down. They become solid and hard since their mass is small. They came below to the earth and finally they are found at the center of the earth. The metals therefore are always available under the earth crust and they are always in the molten state because of extreme pressure and temperature of the earth. So what we have learned, metals occur under the ground, inside the rocks as well, and even they may be found on crust. So you may have a question, as I have already said, metals are found under the crust. But how then they may appear on the earth crust or inside the rocks? It is because of the volcanic eruptions. When the volcanoes erupted, then along with lava, the metals they come out, and some of the metals they remain spread on the earth crust, and some of the lava also gets converted into rocks, and therefore inside the rocks, certain metals are found. We shall be coming to discuss the properties of metal. After discussing the properties of metal, we shall be going to discuss the properties of non-metal as well. Properties of metals are classified into two categories. They are physical property and then the chemical property. We will be coming to directly the physical properties of the metals. Now, what is a physical property? A property that can be understood by using our sense organ, like hardness. We can feel whether some substance is hard or soft by touching, by our skin. So skin is a sense organ. Like smelling, that you use your nose, by looking, by your eyes, by hearing with your ears, etc. Some properties, and this type of properties can be called as the physical properties. Now amongst them, the metals have certain physical properties in your syllabus and they are hardness. All metals are hard elements. Similarly, second is given as malleability. It is a property of the metal due to which when we hammer a piece of metal, it becomes flat. It finally gets converted into a thin. We call this phenomenon is as malleability. Third one is ductility. This is the property due to which metals can be drawn into wires. Conductivity of metals. Metals are good conductors, but they are good conductors of two physical properties. They are good conductors of heat, and the second, they are good conductors of electricity as well. That's why in the physical property, the conductivity is a very important property, physical property of metal. The last but not the least, metals are sonorous. Sonorous means they always produce sound when they are hit by some other materials. So that property is called as sonorous. So we can identify whether an element that you have is a metal or non-metal by distinguishing this property. If the element is hard, if the element is malleable, if the element is ductile, if the element is good conductor of heat and electricity, and if the element is sonorous, then obviously they are metals. On the other hand, if it is a non-metal, in the circle I have written, non-metals show the opposite properties of these. Means metals are hard, then non-metals will be soft. Metals are malleable, non-metals will be non-malleable. Metals are ductile, but non-metals are not. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, but non-metals are not. Metals are sonorous, but non-metals are not. So in that way, depending on the physical property, we can also find out the difference between metal and the non-metal. These physical properties, however, have some exceptions. The exceptions like, if we see the hardness, metals are hard, like iron is a very hard element. It's a metal. Gold is hard, copper is hard, zinc is hard, but sodium, mercury, potassium, calcium are also some metals. They are not hard, but they are soft. So it is an exception. Similarly, sodium, potassium, etc. are some metals. They are not malleable. That's malleability is a property of metal. But sodium, potassium are the metals which are not malleable, which by hammering them we cannot convert them into sheets. Same elements like sodium, potassium, etc. they are not ductile too. We cannot make wires from them. For example, from metal mercury, we cannot make a wire. Mercury cannot be drawn into sheets. Mercury is not hard. So these are exceptions. Similarly, if we come to conductivity, there is two exceptions. Like lead and mercury are the two metals. They are poor conductor of heat. Extremely poor conductor. Similarly, if we come to the conductivity, again conductivity of electricity, then we'll get bismuth is an example of metal, which is a bad conductor of electricity. That is why, though by using physical properties, we can differentiate between the metal and non-metal by considering these 5 physical properties. In science, we say to differentiate between the metals and non-metals, we have to follow the second type of properties of metal, and that is chemical property. It is the chemical property by using which only we can differentiate the metals and non-metals in a proper way. In our next lesson, we shall be discussing the chemical properties of metals. Thank you.